Hello, everybody. How are you on this Wednesday? Do you realize that this is the last Wednesday in May of 2024? Do you realize it? Of course you do. I do as well. It is 7 o'clock on the East Coast. And guess where you are? You have tuned into the power of transformation. And I am Dr. Paula Obie. And if I look excited, well, I am. I get excited every week, but I get even more excited sometimes when I have my extra special guest on. Yes, they're all special, but sometimes they're a little extra special. So, we do what we do. We have inspirational conversations. We share information from personal testimonies, things that will actually help just move you through life because you have someone else who's been through what you're probably going through or will go through in the future. So you know what we do because you love you and we love you and you love your family and your friends. We need to tell them that the show is on because they're a little busy. They may be in Bible study, but some people may just forget. So we're going to tag them and we're going to text them and we're going to tell them that the power of transformation broadcast is on with Dr. Paula Obie and they do not want to miss it. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to give you a few. We're going to be right back. See you soon. I'm back. Okay, so I'm going to start off with this total apology. I did not get to advertise my guest. Shame on me. However, I told you that she was going to be back. We didn't know that she was going to be back quite this soon, but that's okay. We have some really good tidbits to discuss tonight, and I needed to have her come back while we were really still feeling that conversation. So again, my special guest, not a stranger to the power of transformation, Regina L. Nixon. And she says, my testimony is real. This is going to be part 2. We did part 2 a few weeks ago at the beginning of May, maybe last week in April. And we're just going to have a Regina Paula conversation. So I apologize to her family and friends who didn't know. Surprise! Come on in, Regina. Surprise!
Hey, Paula.
Hi, Regina. I bet you didn't think you were going to be coming back so soon, huh?
I didn't.
But that's what you get for just being such a good friend and sharing some of the most golden nuggets. Now, we're going to just debrief just a little bit. You've been transforming now for a few weeks.
Yes.
And just give us a little bit of where you are. And I'm going to give you a little bit more conversation of what got you here. And then I'm going to dig a little bit deeper because I want people to know what it feels like to be where she is. And I'm going to use a phrase in just a few minutes, but I'm going to just give us just a little recap and then we'll move on. How about that?
Okay. Well, I stepped out on faith, basically. I made a leap of faith and left a job that I had been in for probably about 12 years. And it was my comfort zone. And I left that job, stepped out on faith, and went into a different direction with a different organization. And it made me uncomfortable. And, and here I am. And it was, it has been quite a journey how I got there and actually going through it now.
Okay, so here we are. I'm getting ready to go because I told her I'm going to, just ease myself in. The train has left the station and you never know what the train's going to say. Well, at one point in Regina's life, as my life, and probably some of you that are watching, someone says the words, and I'm paraphrasing, you don't deserve that. That's mine. Mm-hmm. How did that make you feel when someone said that to you professionally?
Professionally, when someone tells you that you don't belong,
yes.
Okay, when someone tells you that you're not deserving, um, and if it catches you at your weak point, meaning that you have other things going on in life that you're not on point and you're kind of off kilter, um, it you can buy into that. You begin to buy into that. You
Yeah.
begin to buy into that message about yourself, about the opportunities, about your journey. And I'm speaking professionally, but this can be whether you're in a personal or intimate relationship, a friendship.
Yes.
Um, it could be any area of life. For me, at that point, it was professionally. Um,
Mhm.
to be happy to get it to get a position, but then have folks around you tell you that you're not deserving. Um, it belongs to somebody else. And stepping out on faith and going into a different direction where you are embraced. And right from the beginning, when you're making an exit and somebody is telling you that you are not valued, and I'm saying valued monetarily, valued in terms of your skill set, and to go into a place that says, hey, what do we have to do to bring you here? What is the dollar amount you need?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when you get there, um, you are embraced.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you are surrounded by people who make you feel like you don't belong, what I've noticed is that a lot of times it comes from their insecurity.
Yeah, it does. It really does. But we don't have time to do that in that
Yeah,
analysis when they say it, because when it hits us, we then bring it to ourselves and to our
right,
lives.
right.
There's a crack in our lives that's open, and it actually penetrates the crack, and we think maybe they're right. Maybe
Yeah,
I don't have what it takes.
right,
Maybe, and we start this journey that is wrong, and this false narrative that you say a lot, that's wrong, and it's a lie.
right. And you buy into it.
You
But
buy
then
into it.
sometimes, yeah, sometimes you have to sit, be still, be obedient to
Hmm.
God, listen, and get yourself together.
Hmm. And let me
Yeah.
give you a little bit more insight too, because Regina and I just sometimes talk over each other, and I'm going to try not to do that. Well, let me tell you what happens when someone tells you that you don't belong, and you know that you do. Once you start moving through the process, you start showing them that you do belong.
Absolutely.
All of a sudden you start kind of flexing your muscle a little bit. Maybe you've learned something. Maybe you'll speak up in a meeting. Maybe you'll share a story. Maybe your personal life will change. You start building that muscle, and eventually they realize, well, maybe I was wrong, but they're definitely not going to come back and tell you that that they were.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes it's more about yourself. You know,
Really.
why is it that I bought into that narrative? Why is it that I don't believe in myself? Why is it that I feel like I deserve, you know, whatever it is, whether it's being blackballed by your family, whether it's being in a relationship that's not healthy, whether it's being stagnant in your career. Sometimes you got to look inside and say, well, why did I even accept that? Why didn't I, why wasn't my crown straight from the beginning? Why
Right.
didn't I walk in my truth from the beginning?
Right.
And sometimes once you straighten your crown and you begin to recognize your strength, your beauty, your skill set, whatever that may be towards you, let me tell you, it is something that is amazing. And I think I shared with you the other day, I was in a staff meeting, and just to set it up, the meeting room was set up like a stadium. And I was sitting kind of in the back at the top, and I just started to look around. And I was looking at these professionals who were former principals, APs, doctorates, just, seasoned professionals. And, and I said, wow, I belong.
There it is.
I belong. Every day when I walk in, I'm embraced. I belong. But it was more not necessarily what they said to me, but it was me. I got myself together, and I was okay, and it felt good. It felt really, really good.
And what we're going to do is speak to that person who needs to pull off the narrative that's a lie.
Yes.
It takes work. You can't do it on your own. Every day we receive messages from people, whether it's professional, like you said, personal. Somebody seems to think that they have a better opinion of who you are than you do. They just have a very, very big mouth.
Yes.
And
Yes.
sometimes and fear. And sometimes we have to grow into having a bigger mouth and getting rid of the fear. I was in an exercise on Saturday and just writing down my fear. Some of us have a fear of really doing great things.
Right.
We have
Right.
a fear of being successful because maybe somebody said that we weren't going to be,
Right.
or they implied we weren't going to be. So this conversation about I belong here also says that, again, I use, the scriptures, Jeremiah 29:11, because God says, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not do you harm. So you plot in this scripture, you going along about your daily business, and at that point of weakness, somebody says you don't belong here. You learn to pivot and
Yes.
say, and that's what everybody else is going to do. So I don't tell you to share, I don't tell you to tag, but there are so many people who are living the lie that someone told them, and it's a lie.
And it's paralyzing.
And you are
It's
stuck.
paralyzing. You are stuck. I have
Yes.
watched friends. I have watched family. I know someone who's going through this now, where there has been a narrative put out there about her professionally, and it's paralyzing to think that you don't belong. You begin to question yourself. It creates anxiety in you, could lead to
Yes.
depression, and it's like, no, that's your narrative. That's not my narrative.
And so we're going to give them something to say. You just said it. That's your narrative. So what do
That's
we
your
say to
right.
that little girl who was told she wasn't going to be anything?
Right. And what do we say to the grown woman?
What do you say
The
to
grown man?
the wrong
We're talking about adults.
Yes.
We could talk to kids and say, oh, you could be everything you can be and you could do everything. But we're talking about grown people. And when I say grown, I'm talking about over 30 grown
Because,
who,
yes.
who get paralyzed by the narrative that other folks, for whatever reason, has created about them. And like I said, it creates all types of obstacles, and it paralyzes you. And I truly feel like when the devil sees a crack in the
Absolutely.
door and he sees that that's your weakness, he's going to kick that door down. He's going to kick it down.
So the power of transformation is about renewing your mind. So we need to learn
Absolutely.
how to change our mind.
Mm-hmm.
So by the renewing of our mind, using God as our
Yes.
source,
Absolutely.
something
Absolutely.
has to change in your talk,
Your walk.
your walk, and sometimes it has to change in your people. But I'm going to say this because Virginia, we're on this phone.
Yeah.
How we do. I want you to look at some of them in the eyeballs. I know some of them will say block them. I want you to look them in the eyeballs, and I want you to say, you didn't think I was worth it.
Right. Right.
Sometimes
Right.
you got to open up your mouth and make a declaration,
Right.
but you were wrong. Bye.
And sometimes, you acknowledge it and you
Yeah,
let it go.
and let it go. And then you start the rebuilding process because we have multi-million dollar talents and multi-million dollar ideas and if that's what you want, multi-million dollar support. But some of us are just really good solution providers.
Right.
Somebody gives you a problem, you're like, wait. Regina, let me think a minute. Regina has come up with so many good solutions. She'll say, well, wait a minute, wait. And she'll do that to me. I'm like, what? Have you thought about, do you realize how important it is to use that to push you away from and open up your mind to thinking, have you actually thought about something else?
And a lot of times you don't even realize how it consumes you.
You don't.
You don't realize how it consumes you. And you got to let it go.
You've got to find something to replace it. So I say,
Yeah.
let it go. And some people, Regina, I feel like we're on the phone now. Just,
Yeah,
talk.
I know.
Some people say, let it go. I say, replace it with something so you can let it go. Because some people have a hard time. Oh, fine. How about replace it?
And I will say this, Paula. A lot of people, and I'm speaking about myself too, you don't know how to let it go.
Right.
And you need some help. And for me, what helped me to let go and to help part of that transformation was my relationship with God. It was being still. It was the self care. It was the listening. It was, the fasting and the praying. All of that together is what helped me to get here. It was not just me. It was not somebody just opening a door. It was all through God. It was that transforming of my relationship with Him and doing it in my way, not any way that anybody has scripted for me, but what worked for me.
Yeah, yeah. Your relationship with God. Now, I was there. Your relationship with God grew
Yes.
whenever we put Him first. I'm a witness. And you spend some time and be really, 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 really honest and say, you know what, God, I need for you to help me in this situation because this is not good for me. And just talk to Him.
Yeah.
And ask Him to take control, which is exactly what you did. And then you develop your daily plan to get to know Him a little bit more. And
Yeah.
ask Him, what do you want for me to do? And then you trusted Him.
It's His will. And truly trust.
Yeah,
Like,
now,
right, you can't have faith and then you fear and you giving it to God, but then you're going back and you're asking and you trying to meddle. I think I told you this before. So I said, I got to get out my way. I'm
you
in
got
the way.
that.
I'm in the way. I done prayed. I done sat and still, and then I'm putting my hands in it. And God's like, well, I thought you wanted me to do it, but you trying to outdo what I'm trying to do for you. So I'm just gonna sit back and let you do it since you think you know everything.
Right. And the sitting back and letting you do it is actually stopping the progress.
Absolutely.
I mean, really, when God gives you something, He gives you the strength to get it done.
Yes. There's
He
a song
gives you
called,
the resources. You
yeah.
say, well, I don't have, well, there's nothing that He doesn't have. So what He does, He starts pulling people your way. You're like a magnet to situations. The phone will ring and you're like, that person hasn't called me in a decade.
Right.
You were just on my mind. All of a sudden, He starts transforming your world.
He will transform your circle. You'll realize people start to fall off. And you're like, well, what happened? God.
And that is His preparation for the next thing. But here's the key. Here's another key in order. You have to let Him do the work.
Yeah.
And sometimes doing the work that He wants us to do is not always easy.
No, it's not.
However, it's worth it. If someone wants to be an entrepreneur, I heard someone say the other day, and it's a side hustle, it's going to be different from somebody who that's their job.
Right.
The person who depends on that income, they're going to work.
Right.
They will do the texting. They will do the Facebook Messenger. They will do all of that because guess what? It's going to pay off.
Right.
You have to put in the work to associate yourself and connect with God. He'll download the plan.
Absolutely.
And then you have to follow. Now, what do you say to somebody like a Paula who thinks she knows everything? You told me one day, it was so good. You said, where's your faith?
Right.
Don't know how we got in that. Regina, okay, back up. Regina and I used to have coffee and a meeting at 9:00 every day.
Mm-hmm.
That was our time to catch up and make sure we were good professionally, but it was also our time to make sure we were good. At that time, we were really helping each other grow in our faith.
Right.
Right. And she's watched my transformation and I've watched hers, and I love it because the two of us have stories where we can help other people, which is what this is about.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, that's part of your circle. You were part of my circle. Speaking professionally, my immediate past supervisor was part of my circle. And I remember how both of you used to pour into me, and you could sense when I was a little off or something was bothering me, but you guys kept pouring into me. And when I made this transition, that solidified. When I was going back and forth, I don't know, I'm so comfortable here. And it's, the people who surround you. They're going to hold you accountable. Keep it honest.
And I was really, just to keep it real, and I'm using this colloquialism because there are all kinds of people who listen, and I'm a doctorate, but Lord knows I can talk that talk. I was not going to be the one to tell you what to do. You weren't gonna blame me. I was not gonna be the one. I wanted you to know that you had to step out on faith.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, first of all jokes aside, I wanted you to understand and equip the fact that you were only there because you were worth it.
Right. Right.
Because
Right.
somebody thought you were worth it. They're not gonna offer you, something that wonderful if they didn't feel like you were worth it. So you were shining, the light of God was shining through you. It was just time for you to recognize it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you got a lot of people who are one belief away and they don't trust it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They do not trust it and they don't want to do the work. Now, let me tell you something. I had a conversation with somebody the other day, Regina. We're doing what we always do. And I said, well, if you buy something, you need to be willing to pay for it. You got to get in your mind that there's a part that belongs to you, part that belongs to God, part that belongs to you, and a part that belongs to God. Is that right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then we have to realize that there's certain things that we have to shed.
Shed.
There's certain things that we have to shed. Now, you know, we carry around a lot of unnecessary stuff. From it could be from childhood, whatever relation, whatever. We carry around a lot of unnecessary stuff that if we rely on our relationship with God, our faith, we have to shed that. And I think that's been part of my transformation is the shedding. I have.
How do you feel? How do you feel? I'm going to cut you right quick. How do you
Uh-huh.
feel now?
Whew. And I'll be fully transparent. I've been made to feel uncomfortable in terms of learning something new. Um, and it is a different type of stress. It's an exciting type of stress, if that makes sense, because it has pushed me out of my comfort zone, which I resisted for so long. And I was like, oh, this is not that bad. Oh, I'm kind of excited. Oh, I did something. I feel good. So there's a part of me that has this a little discomfort. The other part of me feels rejuvenated. Um, and then another part feels like a huge weight has been lifted.
You did
like,
it.
Oh my goodness. I am taking deep breaths. I feel like I have been shallow breathing for so long.
You learned how to shallow breathe.
I have, been shallow breathing, and now I'm taking these deep breaths and I'm enjoying the learning process. I'm enjoying meeting new people. I've always been this type of person. No new friends. I don't want to meet anybody new. And boy, oh boy, I was doing myself a disservice.
Well, because maybe you thought they were going to injure you. When you met me, did you think I was going to injure you?
I met you at a very crazy time in my life.
Difficult time. Very difficult time.
It was a very difficult time.
It was a very difficult time.
Yeah. And
as we got to know each other,
yeah,
it took a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
It took a minute. You have to grow into things.
Right.
There are no instant grits, y'all.
Right.
God loves us and he has a plan, but you got to work that plan.
You have to, and you got to trust him.
Yeah. And you got to put in the work.
Yeah.
A lot of people will sit and go, oh, I trust you, God, and they won't do a thing.
No, they'll go back to worrying.
They go back to worrying. They're just saying, I trust you, but no. That's that you got to go. You got to graduate from that and move to the next step. If I were to say to myself, just where I was when I first met you, am I the same?
No.
He emphatically said.
So I'm going to turn the tables on you. I know you're interviewing me, but I'm about to flip it on you.
No.
When I first met you there was a narrative that was told to you, and I'm just going to use it loosely to dumb yourself down, to fit in. And nobody knew you had a doctorate. And working in a profession where everybody carries their doctorates around, it was like, you have a doctorate? And I was like, Dr. Obie. And I started calling you Dr. Obie before you even started calling yourself Dr. Obie professionally. And so I watched you transform. And I remember, you said, if I put these pumps on, I walk down this hall. And I said, oh, she got her pumps on. She means business. But I have watched you grow into acknowledging your true gifts, from writing your book to being a caretaker to taking care of all of us at work, to being my prayer partner. I have watched you transform.
Wow.
And I've seen a burden lifted off of you, especially over these past couple of weeks.
Yes. And I will tell you, because we were, and our story is, I wanted the job, didn't get the job, then I got the job. I mean, just
Yeah.
crazy going on. And I'm like, only God can say no, yes, and then we're here. But he had a plan. I didn't even want to work there in the first place after I started hanging around some different people, because I'm like, who this tone of voice is bringing out the worst in me? That's my childhood issues. I'm like, I can't handle that. I think he places us in situations where we think we can't handle it so that we can depend on him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He wants you to depend on him. He wants you to listen. He wants you to be obedient.
Mm-hmm.
And I said this before. It wasn't until I sat still.
Yes.
And everybody talks about me being on my back porch, my little happy spot.
Yeah.
But to sit out here, I sit out here in the evening. It's part of my self-care routine. I drink my tea. I'll journal, listen to music, talk to my family. But it was the place where I sat and I was still to listen. And I was like, I don't even know, how do you listen? Like, what does God sound like? I was coming from that perspective. I didn't know. And then it was a feeling in my heart.
Yeah.
It was a confirmation of my thoughts.
Yeah.
It was watching things just work out. Like, wait a minute, how did this door open? And now this door, like, everything just worked out. And things that needed to be removed were removed.
Yeah.
Things that needed to be put in place were in place, and just listening, being still.
And one of the things that I'm learning, and I'm saying this now, I'm lowering my voice, not because only for emphasis. He knows what you want.
Yeah.
And he'll speak in that voice that you recognize.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So he may speak to you one way, he may speak to me one way, but the bottom line is he knows how to speak to all of us. Sometimes he has to push us out, and he does if we let him, but he's a gentleman. He's not going to force you to do it.
Right.
I've talked to a lot of people. We talked to a lot of people who were in our profession, and I'm there because it's my passion to make sure people have certain things in their lives.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my passion. But that's only one. I can build on it. The journey doesn't stop with one thing that you're doing. He's giving you lots of talents.
Right.
You have to be willing to embrace the fact that was a lie, and now you're walking in your truth. There are a lot of people that are going to be listening to this broadcast, and they're thinking, she's born with a silver spoon in her mouth. Honey, God has brought us from a long way.
A long way.
It is our job, a long ways. It's our job to speak to other people.
Yeah.
So while you're sitting over there relaxing and talking about I belong here, it's time for us to encourage some other people too.
Yes. And sometimes you got to remove those strongholds that are holding you back. And that's part of doing the work.
Yeah.
And whatever that looks like for you, whether a person, a substance, whatever that is.
And know that God loves you even through it. See, that's the biggest thing.
Yes.
No matter where you belong to him, so he loves you, but he just wants to help you get through it,
right?
So that you can be the best you that he created you to be.
Absolutely.
And I think that is the greatest gift that we could ever give each other, is to say, Lord, just help me be the best person that I can be, that you created me to be, and get rid of all these other things that are holding me back.
Yeah, because sometimes you say, why am I holding on to this?
It's a habit.
And sometimes, like I said before, you got to get uncomfortable. Because it's not easy.
And don't be afraid to do something that's totally different.
Yeah.
Don't. Even if you fail, well, what if you fly?
Right.
What if that one thing gets you so uncomfortable that it wakes you up at 3 o'clock in the morning, did me, and it says, do this. And then you do it and you're like, oh, you know,
Right,
it
right,
really worked, right,
right,
Regina?
right.
Now,
Absolutely.
I'm not a cook, like you got some people in your family.
Yeah, and it's not me. My husband can cook.
Right. So we are not going to step in your husband's lane, but we know how to go buy the ingredients.
Right, right,
That's collaboration. You need that circle where if you can't do the deed, go buy the food.
right, right.
Yeah, that's your lane.
Yeah,
Let them say, and you need to celebrate other people, and I need to celebrate other people.
yeah. And I know there are some people who are stuck.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're
I was
stuck.
one of those. Yeah, I was one of
Yeah,
those. And I can even tell you what it feels like. You want me to tell you what it feels like?
yeah. Go ahead.
Wait. First, I'm gonna tell you what it sounds like. I say the same thing all the time. I mean, my conversation is the same. Nothing
Right,
changes.
right, right,
Somebody say, "How are you? What have you done?" Same thing.
right,
You're just stuck. Somebody might say, "Well, you're just happy." You're stuck. If you say the same thing all the time, you have nothing new to add to it.
right.
How about trying something new?
Yeah,
And
doing something different.
and I guess I was just this thought just hit me, Regina. Um, you deserve it. What's going on? You deserve it. I give you an applause. You deserve what you are.
Well, thank you. And
You
I'm so
deserve it.
grateful. I'm so grateful.
You deserve it because you have stood in the gap for a whole lot of us.
Well,
And
a lot of people have stood in the gap for me.
so you've then passed that on to someone else, and you deserve it. And that's the message we have to tell other people, right? What do you think
Right.
about that?
Um, I would agree with you. Um, I know people have stood in the gap for me,
Yeah.
have prayed for me, have supported me, have been in that circle. And now I try to do the same. I made a phone call. I sent you a text this morning. I said, hey, you're one of my prayer partners. I need you to stand in the gap for somebody because they're struggling.
Yeah.
They're struggling.
Yeah.
And sometimes and they don't even need to know that you're doing it.
No, they don't. As a matter of fact, you don't need to be advertising how wonderful you are anyway in that area.
Right,
You just
right,
need to do it.
right.
And part of our growth is knowing how to do things in the correct way.
Yeah, yeah.
And we
And
are supposed to stand in the gap for other people sometimes.
yeah, and as we're at the end of May is Mental Health Month, um, there are a lot of people who are carrying around a lot of stuff that they should be shedding. They don't know how to shed. It's weighing them down, and they need people to stand in a gap because they don't know how to do it for themselves.
Absolutely.
And people are suffering, and they don't have to suffer.
They don't have
You
to.
know, and you know, I don't have any particular, like any kind of magic or anything like that. I pray for them. I say, God, please remove those strongholds.
Yeah.
Please surround them with love and comfort. Please
Yeah.
keep them at peace.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yeah. I
know,
pray for them, but I also give them the name of a very good counselor
yeah, absolutely.
because they need a tool chest in addition to prayer and that tool chest, especially if it's a Christian counselor working together. I
Yeah,
mean, I've had a
putting in that
counselor.
work.
Yes, I've had a counselor because of the at one time in my life, the session was so intense. She stopped and grabbed my hands and prayed for me.
Mm,
So you've got God working through somebody who's giving you real tools.
right,
This
right,
month, a lot of people needed to know that there's somebody who's a Christian counselor and working with God
right,
to help get you where you need to be mentally.
right. And what you
And
said earlier, you have to be willing to do the work.
yeah, it's work.
You have to be willing to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes
Oh,
the work is going to make you uncomfortable.
it's
The work
gonna.
is going to be hard, but the reward at the end is going to be amazing.
So if you truly love yourself, Regina, why would you not want to do what's best for you?
Because you probably truly don't love yourself.
There we go. Stop the mic.
We started out talking about narratives.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, someone had a narrative about you. And it
Yes.
could be from your childhood, from your adulthood, whatever it is that you've been carrying around. You don't belong. You're not worthy. You're this, you're that. You're not going to amount to anything. You're a disappointment. And you start to carry that around, and you don't feel like you're worth being loved.
So how do we help change that for people? We got just a few more minutes. Where did the time go?
And then,
How do we stand here? I'm a person who had to learn how to love me. I told myself this the other day. I said, I want you to give you 2 hours of love, which means you're doing nothing for anyone else but you.
right. I think that's a start.
I think that's the start.
You start small, because loving yourself can look different for everyone. For
Right.
me, I do Sunday self-care day. That's the day where I'm going to wash my hair. I'm going to get my nails done. I'm going to do something that allows me to take care of myself. And
Yes.
then the next thing I know, my self-care day went from one day to every day.
Every day. So write this down. Self-care is required every day.
It's required. It's
Every day.
required.
Every day.
Right. It's amazing how we will self-care other people, take care of other people. Oh, I'm so concerned. Oh, I want them to have the best, but we won't do it for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
could you imagine?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm going to give you another tip because I kind of like to laugh. Laughter,
Right.
even the Bible talks about laughter makes the heart merry. It's like merrier. It's like
Right.
great for the heart. I will put on one of my silliest movies. One
Mhm.
that just makes me laugh so hard, and it's coming to America.
Okay.
When Eddie Murphy starts singing about being in love all off key and everybody screaming, telling him to shut up. For some reason, that scene, he doesn't care. He's just having himself a good time. But when I get through laughing at how he does not care, I'm
Right.
feeling so much better. Find something that's going to make you laugh.
Yeah. Yeah. Make you laugh, make you feel good. Whatever
Make
that
you
may
feel
be.
good. Yeah.
The beach
Now,
makes me feel good.
yes. Oh, not to mention now
The
you and I
beach
have
makes me feel good. Yeah. The beach makes me feel good.
you look like you. I've not seen you look this way. You look very Regina-ish.
It's the shedding.
You look like you are where you need to be
Mhm.
mentally, emotionally, professionally. We
Yeah.
spend a lot of time at our job.
Yeah.
So if it's not doing what it needs to do. Now I will say I have not left my job. I'm still there. But I have a plan. And God has a plan.
Right.
And when you follow his plan, your plan may not be what other folks have, but it doesn't mean you're less than. It just means
Right.
your plan is different.
Right. Right.
I'm glad you're doing your plan. And don't I look good?
And you look great.
Something's working.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've made some changes, Regina.
Mm-hmm.
And we're encouraging people out there to make changes because that's what's going to get you going. I remember a project manager said to me, I love to learn. He said to a group of people, he said, learn one new thing a day,
Right.
365 new things a year. Keep that brain stimulated. Do you
Right.
think that?
And you know what? And I think, and I'm glad you said that. I feel stimulated.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
I feel stimulated. And that has trickled down into other areas of my life. So, I'm stimulated professionally. I'm a happier person. I'm a better wife. I'm a better mother, a better friend. Um, and it just trickles and just engulfs other areas of your life and just makes everything just a little bit better.
And these are real life testimonies.
Oh, absolutely.
We're real people
Absolutely.
with real stories. We haven't told you the ugly part.
I,
Because when I put on my pumps that one time,
yeah,
I
yeah,
put my pumps on, which I would wear at that time. Things are not always easy, but know that who you have with you
Yeah, absolutely.
And don't expect less. And if somebody's, trying to dummy you down, it may not be about you.
Right.
So we're at the 40-minute mark. I'm gonna have to back this train and bring this train on in the station. But I have absolutely enjoyed our conversation. It's just like we do on the phone. I interrupt her, probably more than she interrupts me. But we try to say what we need to say. Now, I decided, Regina,
Uh-huh.
that we were gonna end the show with me talking about my book, unless you have something
Absolutely.
else profound to say.
Say that one more time.
Do you have anything else profound to say? If not, we'll
No, no, just thank you. And again, just very grateful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You just keep. Next time I see you, who knows you? You might be. Who knows what you'll be the next time we talk again. But we're gonna follow your journey because this is a real life conversation. This is a
Absolutely.
real life journey. This is a real life transformation. And if anybody really knew the details, they'd be like,
Yeah, yeah. And
yeah.
I appreciate you reaching out to me to come back
Oh, yeah.
on.
I'm tracking. I'm gonna keep my eye on you because you are the example that we need for other people. So I decided that I needed to start talking about my book more. You've
Abs-
read the book,
Absolutely. And it
and
was wonderful. Wonderful. And my oldest daughter finished the book, and so we're waiting for you to have your show on your book and do a book discussion.
oh, see, I cannot wait and
Yeah.
have the comments. That might last like 2 shows.
Right, right.
But I want to show everybody the book. My little babies. It's my little baby debut novel, and everybody's like, "When is the second novel?" I said, "Honey, I'm still trying to sell this one. Okay, one at a time." But these are my babies. Look. Adria's Transformation. It is a Christian novel, which people did not understand what Christian novels were, but if you read it, you'll understand it. It's about life. And someone asked me, was it about my life? And I'm like, I would have had to live 20 lives to do what that girl did. But I think it's really one of the most profound obedient statements I've ever made because I'm like, God, you want me to do what? And I did it. Again, we're talking about stepping out of your comfort zone and following the plan. That's what I did. So it's available on Amazon. You can send me a message on Facebook. If you want it autographed, I can help you with that. But let me tell you something. My little babies, don't they look like they're in love? And they're young people. And, we need to encourage the young people. So go out there and buy it. And I'm going to tell you, I have a few more books left for my launch party. I had a whole month while I launched in February of last year. I have a few books left where I can do giveaways, but you have to get in contact with me. You have to contact me on Facebook, or you have to contact me on in my email and tell me that you know someone or that you would like to be gifted with the book, and I'll do that. But only if you contact me, right, Regina?
Absolutely,
All
absolutely.
right. All right. So I'm happy. I'm happy. Did we get everything out? Because I know we're going to get, have to close it out. But I have the train moving into the station. And now when I move this train into the station, this is where I probably feel so good because we got to have one of our sister girl talks
Hmm.
and people were just listening in.
Right.
And we said everything we needed to say. I interrupted you interrupted me, but we made some really good points. And I know that people are going to be blessed. Now on Saturday, we do have a replay of this show at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on ALH Broadcasting. And also right after this recording, right after the broadcast, it's going to be available for people to watch. I've had people say that they've watched it more than once. You just watch it as many times as you want and share it as many times as you need to, because Regina and I are an example of God can transform you. And we had to renew our minds, and that's what this show is about. So as I bring this into the station, the train is now, I'm pumping the brakes. And we're going to say what we say every time we get together on Wednesdays, that you have to trust the process. In order for the power of transformation to do its perfect work, it's based on Romans 12:2, an excerpt, by the renewing of your mind and by trusting God. Right, Regina?
Absolutely.
Am I having good friends like Regina and Paula? It doesn't hurt. All right, everybody. I had such a good time, Regina. I'm tracking you still. You look great, and I think you're going to continue to do great
And
things.
can I add one more thing?
You have
I know everybody's thinking, why are we dressed alike with the green? And I just wanted to say this is a tribute to your mom. One of her favorite colors is green. So to your mom and in her memory.
Yeah, my mommy Joyce. Good girl. Good girl. Miss her. Haven't seen her in a long time, but I look and see her every day.
Yep.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Okay, good
Thank
night.
you, Regina. We're going to see you
Okay.
again soon. You're probably owning something the next time I see you. You'll be the owner of something. You never know. All right, everybody.
Okay,
Love
bye-bye.
you. Love you. Be encouraged. We'll see you next week. Bye. See ya.